Hey guys, and welcome. Love it or hate it, Halo 3 ODST was a bloody great game. There was something so cool about just taking a step back as a super soldier and seeing the human Covenant war through the eyes of an ODST. You have no overshield, you are not a super soldier, just a human in a suit of armour. This was especially apparent on Legendary difficulty, where you would need to seriously plan ahead when fighting against the Covenant and strategically planning your next move. One of the main parts and plot points of ODST was that it was set right after the glassing of New Mombasa in Halo 2. There was something really eerie about finding out and investigating what happened to your teammates of Alpha 9 and what actually happened to New Mombasa at the time as well. You were like a detective, roaming the streets looking for clues, meeting the team and getting to know them more. The eerie atmosphere and the vibe of the game as well, it just suited it so well, and some of the new additions of the weapons like the suppressor, which didn't really do anything, but even if it did, stuff like this would be really cool. And just encountering different brutes and parts of the Covenant along the streets of Mombasa, it was a really cool atmosphere. Not to mention the crew members of ODST, Veronica being the overall team leader. We also had Buck, who him and Veronica had a bit of history with romance, along with Dutch, Romeo and Mickey. Their crew name is Alpha 9 and had actually split up shortly after the game was set, with Buck joining Fireteam Osiris and helping Locke and the others in that storyline of Halo 5. It was later found that in one of the books, Halo Bad Blood, Alpha 9 actually got back together. Except the rookie, as we've just said, because in typical Halo fashion, he was killed off screen. And I'm still extremely salty about that. So, could we see a DLC involving Alpha 9? A Halo Infinite ODST type of game? Or even an actual spin-off of Infinite, rather than it just being a DLC? Or could we even see Alpha 9 featured in the main Halo Infinite campaign DLC and the main canon storyline? Well, today we're going to discuss Alpha 9 in more detail, starting off with the lore around the team and their backstory, and then moving on to how they could be implemented into the Halo Infinite canon. If you guys are going to enjoy this video, do consider dropping a like down below, it'd be much appreciated. And if you are brand new to the channel, why not subscribe? It's completely free after all, and if you do go on to enjoy the video that much, then make sure you do turn on video notifications to be notified when a video does go live. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alpha 9 is a small fire team of Spartan 4 super soldiers under the command of Spartan Edward Buck. Buck starred in the original Halo ODST, then retained the leadership of the team in the book's Halo Bad Blood. Formerly a small team of UNSC Marine troopers, the team's roster changed drastically over the period of the Human Covenant War and the post-war era, with the remnants of the team eventually becoming Spartan 4s. After Operation Coal Pepper, the team was disbanded and the remaining active members reassigned to other locations. Following the outbreak of the created conflict, the scattered members of Alpha 9 were reunited to help combat the new threat. During the Battle of Earth, the squad, now consisting of Buck, Taylor, Dutch, Miles, Romeo, Mickey and the Rookie, were assigned to the UNSC Say My Name and were a part of the 103rd Shock Troops Battalion. They were part of a larger ODST unit with the mission to board the Prophet of Regrets flagship by dropping into Mombasa streets from low orbit. For the drop, however, only Officer Veronica Dare took over command of the squad in order to use them in her mission to gain access to the new Mombasa's urban infrastructure artificial intelligence, the Superintendent. The Superintendent held critically important data that was requested and could help the UNSC in the Human Covenant War. However, she didn't reveal the mission to the Alpha 9 squad until mid-drop, when she ordered them to alter their course towards the city's only Alpha site, from where they could access the Superintendent. Dare also gave the squad clearance codes to access the Superintendent's system, allowing them to utilize the AI for assistance, such as providing a three-dimensional map of the city. Just as they were on their way down, the vessel holding the Prophet jumped into slipspace and the Chief and Miranda Keys were following closely behind, releasing a devastating shockwave and an electromagnetic pulse which disabled the squad's drop pods, resulting in them landing uncontrollably around the city. Dare and Buck landed relatively close to one another. Dare's pod hatch was jammed by the hard landing and Buck rushed to her position in order to help her. Covenant forces converged on Dare's position before Buck managed to reach her. When he finally discovered her pod, he found it to be empty, just as he was confronted by a mysterious Covenant creature which was holding Dare's severely damaged helmet. Romeo appeared and killed the creature, and after reviewing the situation with Romeo, Buck decided to get the squad out of the city as they assumed Dare had been killed. During the rest of the day, the squad regrouped and fought the Covenant for control of the city. Finally together, minus the Rookie and Dare, the squad fought waves of incoming Covenant on the top of the NMPD headquarters building, where an incoming brute chieftain injured one of the squad mates. The squad then made their way to Kikawani Station, where they hijacked a Phantom and found a way out of the city. However, Buck suddenly discovered that he knew where Dare was and ordered Crespo to turn back to the city. Meanwhile, the Rookie woke up in his pod after wandering around the city for a while. He received a transmission from Dare, who was pinned down in the data center below the city. The Rookie made his way into the data center and eventually found Dare. Together, they fought their way through to the Superintendent's core, where they discovered an engineer had absorbed the Superintendent's data, namely Virgil. As they prepared to leave, Buck arrived at the data center and they made their escape to the surface. Traveling along the waterfront highway, they faced heavy Covenant resistance. Eventually, they were picked up by the Phantom piloted by Mickey. They left the city as it was glassed by the Covenant fleet. Following on from this, in 2554, Alpha 9 took part in the combat operation against the United Rebel Front during an uprising on Draco 3, where the Rookie was eventually killed in action. The Rookie's death prompted Taylor Miles to retire from the UNSC service, and this is where the Rookie was killed off screen. And yeah, this is one of the most controversial parts of ODST, that everyone loved the Rookie, and I think he did deserve, similar to Halo Reach. I mean, Halo Reach's Noble 6 death wasn't exactly the best in the world, and again, I'm really salty about that too, but at least we could see something. Whereas this, it was kind of just in a book. In the book Halo Bad Blood, Alpha 9 infiltrated a Spartan 4 training complex where June was the head of command. Although the facility's AI, Leonidas, was actually a part of Cortana's created army and was actively working against the UNSC. When the Alpha 9 team arrived at the complex, Buck entered the facility and requested to speak to June, who, according to Leonidas at the time, was indisposed. However, the team had the advantage of Virgil and their Condor's cloaking abilities, which kept Leonidas from knowing that anyone other than Buck was on board the ship. As Virgil attempted to take over the station's systems, Buck visited Mickey, but quickly became frustrated with his former friend's insurrectionist views. And just to give a bit of context there as well, Mickey was jailed because he was involved in the death of the Rookie, and the teams believe that it was his fault for the death of the Rookie. If anyone in the comments down below can elaborate on this any further, that would be much appreciated, and I'll pin the comment down below as well to show how the Rookie died, just for a bit more context. But anyway, on to the rest of the video. Recognizing the potential danger that the inhabitants of the station were in from Leonidas, Buck decided to take the AI offline, even if he hadn't been compromised, as a precaution. Leonidas quickly revealed his true allegiance to the Created and attempted to have Buck arrested, going so far as to declare Buck as a stolen gauntlet, or a rogue Spartan. After Buck came close to convincing the 3 Spartans that were ordered to arrest him to wait until June could handle the situation, Leonidas murdered them by evacuating the air from the room they were in, Buck's armor saving him from the same fate. As Leonidas was poised to do the same to the rest of the station, Virgil managed to knock out the power to the station briefly, giving Buck enough time to remove Leonidas' data crystal chip from a terminal in June's office, effectively taking Leonidas offline. I'm not going to cover everything from Bad Blood because in this overview there is a lot to do with the book, which I could probably be here for at least 30-40 minutes talking about everything that went on in that book, but this is just a very high level overview of what happened at the time, how Alpha 9 came back together, their journey to coming back together, and then towards the end of the book, how they were on the UNSC Infinity, etc. So again, this was a very high level overview of how they found June and how the Alpha 9 team infiltrated this Spartan 4 facility, and it gives a little bit of context around the cutscene we've seen in Halo Infinite, where the location of the Spartan 4 training complex was given to Cortana by Leonidas, and it was subsequently destroyed. This was the same location that we're talking about right now, and yeah, it's also very interesting how they all link together. After the events of Bad Blood, Alpha 9 returned to the UNSC Infinity. Buck left Fireteam Osiris to command Alpha 9 once more on a permanent basis, with both teams attending Buck and Dare's wedding on the Infinity. And as we mentioned earlier, Buck and Dare did have a romantic past, and they tied the knot again at the end of the book by getting married on the UNSC Infinity. Not long after Buck and Dare's honeymoon, which I presume would still be on the Infinity, I can't imagine there's any nice beaches in space, Alpha 9 was sent out on another classified mission, out of contact with the command and with nothing but their armor, weapons, and each other to rely on. The team worked together better than ever after all the hardship that they had been through. Buck even convinced Captain Lasky and Dr. Halsey to let Mickey back on the team, and they agreed, so Mickey is now again a part of Alpha 9. Who knows, maybe the Rookie will come back to life. The Rookie will join Captain Keyes and Noble Six on the Pillar of Autumn forever. So this was a very high level overview of the lore behind Alpha 9, how they broke up and eventually got back together. With us not really hearing much else from Book or Alpha 9 after this portion of the story, it does get you wondering where they might have gone. Could they have been sent on the same mission as Spartan Locke, or maybe they could have saved Spartan Locke? Could they have gone somewhere to try and prevent the takeover from Cortana's created army? We don't really know any finer details at this point, but I do suspect that the new book lore and even Halo Infinite DLC will flesh out this point. But you've got to take into account as well that Halo Infinite's story has been left completely open. Literally anything can happen at this point. As I mentioned, I think DLC 1 will be just fleshing out the questions and the unanswered questions that we've got from the end of the base game, and fleshing out who the Endless are, what happened to Atriox, how he survived, how the Chief was teleported 3 days into the future, etc. All of these questions that we have, I think the DLC 1 will try and answer those as much as possible, but DLC 2 or 3? I think it could happen, and I think that Alpha 9 could come back, and if Alpha 9 doesn't come back, maybe they'll have their own spin-off game, but I do think that we'll at least see one team come back, whether that'll be Alpha 9, Blue Team, Red Team, even Green Team from back in the day. We don't know. I think that a team will come back. Let me know in the comments down below which one you would prefer to come back the most. But how will they come back? Well, at the end of my lore recap, Alpha 9 reunited on the UNSC Infinity and Book and Veronica got married. After their honeymoon, they were sent on another classified mission, and we heard nothing back from them after this point. But in my previous breakdown video on the leaked mid-credit cutscene that was data mined a couple of weeks ago, and by the way, if you do want to see the full breakdown of that trailer and actually go and see what it looks like, I'll leave a link in the description or an annotation on the screen for you to click on and go and watch that quickly, and then come back to this video after. But going off that as well, the pilot looked extremely happy, almost like he was happy to see what was in front of him in that leaked cutscene. If this is a scene cut and intended to be used in the DLC, this would need to be a team or something that the pilot would know and be hyped to see. I think that this has to be a UNSC team or a ship of some sort, like the Spirit of Fire or another frigate from the UNSC. Going on to theory time, what if? Alpha 9 completed their mission and tried to communicate with the Infinity. They had no luck, and Captain Lasky was not responding, or even Dr. Halsey. So, they devised a plan to get back to the Infinity's last known location, Zeta Halo. They worked their way through their current location, learning about Cortana's sacrifice and the banished presence on and around Zeta Halo. They finally get word from a Hand of Atriox that, for whatever reason, at the same location as they are, talking about the Chief being defeated and dead, and how the UNSC Infinity was destroyed with ease. Alpha 9 do whatever it takes to find out what happened and get themselves to Zeta Halo to find out where the Infinity is. They finally get towards the end of the campaign, which is where the Chief and the pilot were in a Pelican, and this would be where the DLC takes off. But adding to this point even further, this could be a DLC or a spin-off on its own. My only concern with this point is that Book isn't an ODST anymore, and that there are portions of this squad that are now Spartan 4 soldiers. So whether Book and the others are the Spartans in the team and they recruit ODSTs to fight alongside them, I've got no idea how that's going to work now. Would it really be an ODST game with Alpha 9 in, because they're like Spartan 4s now? So again, let me know down below how that would work. I think that it would probably be a case where you would have ODSTs fighting alongside them and they would reunite, or maybe even you fight as one of the ODSTs in the squad already. So for example, I don't know if Mickey's a Spartan 4, I think he might still be an ODST, so what do we have it from Mickey's perspective? Again, I don't know, let me know in the comments. But either way, I would love to see an ODST type of game for Halo DLC or just a spin-off, and I do think they actually will. It was rumoured, now take this with a pinch of salt, but I did hear this a while ago and can't for the life of me find out where I heard it from or remember where I heard it from, but there was a Halo ODST game being concepted to release after Halo 5, around a couple of years after the game, because the game came out in like what, 2015, 2016, and it went all this time, 5-6 years without any word from Halo. That's unheard of. There's usually around a 3-year cycle for Halo, and you would have expected some sort of DLC or campaign DLC or spin-off to come out within the meantime. It was concepted that there was actually an ODST being concepted or looked into at the time around the 2018 period, but because of Halo Infinite's need and large scale, Bonnie Ross cancelled the project and said that everyone needs to be full hands on deck with Halo Infinite. I mean, I think that would have been really cool. And I mean, with the mechanics of Halo 5, it could have been either way. They could have completely ruined the ODST type of game, but they could have also really perfected it. We don't really know at this point, but let me know your comments down below on that. Would you have liked to have seen a Halo 5 version of an ODST type of game, or not? If you guys can find the article or the Reddit post about that, please do link it in the comments down below. I'd love to go back and have a read of it. I do remember seeing it somewhere, but for the life of me, I just can't seem to find it, so do let me know. But I do think that a new ODST game will come to Halo Infinite's DLC, or even as a Halo Infinite spin-off, giving us the perspective of an ODST on the Infinity whilst being taken over by the Banished, watching the Chief fight with you, or even maybe fighting alongside the Chief. That would be so damn cool. Imagine being an ODST on the Infinity. You've just had the sirens go off and you've heard that the Banished are taking over. You then are in a meeting with Captain Lasky and other ODSTs and Spartans, and in walks the Chief. You fight alongside the Chief to try and evacuate the ship and escort Captain Lasky to a lifeboat. How cool would it be? And then you just go your separate ways. The Chief's gone for 6 months, but that 6-month period of you being on the ring, you're an ODST, which is trying to fight their way through the Banished and try and win the war back for the UNSC. Of course, you're not going to do a lot. You're not a super soldier, you are only an ODST, but maybe there could be a really engaging story somewhere there. And maybe along the line, even in DLC 1 or 2, you could meet the Chief, be surprised that he's back, and just see him go ham against the Banished. I just think stuff like that would be really cool, seeing it from the perspective of people that aren't super soldiers, that aren't Spartans, that aren't this badass thing that can't be killed. I just think that having it from an ODST's perspective and not having regenerating shields and stuff is just so good, and that's the beauty of ODST number 1. It was just a different perspective, and it was a quality overall game. Or, looking at it from another perspective, if we reunite with Alpha 9 for an ODST type of spin-off, going through their journey to find out what happened to the Infinity and maybe reuniting with the Chief, or what if Alpha 9 fight and rescue Spartan Locke, for example? There are so many possibilities and theories that you guys can discuss and go through in the comments, but man, I would be so hyped if a Halo ODST spin-off or DLC came out. Guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. For me, after the events of Bad Blood, Alpha 9 has a very good possibility of coming back into the mainline story, or having their own spin-off game. Just like Halo ODST 2. I just think it would get people so interested, because I know for a fact I would be. But guys, drop a like if you did enjoy, subscribe if you are brand new, make sure you comment your thoughts and theories down below in the comments. No matter how crazy they are, just leave them all down below. I really like reading through all of them, and yeah, it's really cool to see. But yeah, guys, have a good rest of your day. Speak to you all soon.